There is a lot of misinformation out there for what you should put as your Tinder bio. And while a great one won't really matter if your pictures suck, a bad one can absolutely still harm your chances of finding somebody that you like. But right before we get into exactly what you should put down, what you should say, I did come across this tool that shows you how to unblur likes on your Tinder profile without paying. There's actually a couple ways to do it. Easiest is the Chrome extension, which I'll link to the Reddit thread that talks about it in case you're interested. But otherwise, let's get to it. So first, quickly, in case you don't know, Tinder still applies a score to your account. Meaning if you are deemed to be highly desirable, you're going to get matches. You're going to get matched up with people who are also highly desirable, which just means it is crazy competitive, which is why your pictures, if I were to organize them, that component is going to be an S tier priority. After that, like spending enough time on the dating apps, swiping, sending openers is going to be A tier. B is going to be like general messaging. And finally, C is where I would put your Tinder bio. But if you follow any of these like dating bro channels, a lot of the advice that they have for your bio is just straight up bad. It's really bad. And that should end up in that case be more of an S tier priority because it's going to hold you back. So what is a bad Tinder bio? Well, to explain, you need to know that there's two different ways that you can use Tinder or any dating app. And the first, aside from having great pictures, is essentially just being a big green flag. You check all of her boxes and for the most part seem like boyfriend material. The second is essentially the opposite. You likely have multiple pictures with your shirt off. You are maybe a little bit cocky, you have some swagger, you flirt heavily through the messages, and you essentially push away any woman who doesn't want anything other than a quick hookup. With this option, while you can move very fast, you're going to push a lot of women away who could have otherwise been interested in you. So you have to really know what you're doing. You also need to have a high level of sex appeal, unless you're fine with way lower standards. Unfortunately, this fuckboy profile gets pushed to guys all the time, and it's kind of delusional to do so because I know most of you aren't really in a position to pull that off, at least not right now. And honestly, I wouldn't even do this even that I have experience, because you can still be able to, if you are trying to hook up a lot, you can still do that by presenting yourself as a big green flag, because that's all about the first date and just getting that lined up. And that should be your priority, of just getting as many as you can, because a lot of women are actually open to something. But if they see a profile that is just like so aggressive, that's just going to turn them off and you don't even have like a chance to start. So let's set up your profile. The first thing is to put long-term partner for what you're looking for. I used to not select anything, as that was kind of like best, I feel, but it is a requirement for Tinder. So use that, or do whatever's the equivalent for whatever other app you're using. And I suggest using at least 2. Next, for interests, I put these down, which was truthful, which you should ideally be. Don't say things you're into and then have it not be true, and then she asks you about it on a date and you kind of freeze. But again, don't like go crazy trying to pick the best possible ones. Obviously, orientation, said straight. Now, outside of actual bio and that kind of stuff, I never really bothered filling out, and I never really needed to. It didn't hold me back, the prompts or anything like that. So don't feel like you need to, especially if it's stressing you out about trying to like pick the best thing to say. It's just kind of fluff. But, if you have like a prestigious job or school that you went to and want to put that down, then sure. But otherwise, yeah, it's all fluff, not worth stressing about. So here's one I actually have included in my ebook, and it's more or less what I've used in the past. I value my family and my dash-in the most. Despite running my own business, you'd probably describe me as pretty laid back overall. I'm not one who's super heavy into the nightlife and party scene, and I'm looking for the same. I like the outdoors, I enjoy watching sports, and come from a big football family, and I'm almost always down for some spontaneous road trip and looking for someone genuine to spend my time with. Now again, this won't move the needle unless yours is currently bad, but I'll explain why I chose something like this. So the first thing, for one, it's actually accurate, which is important. Like, it actually gets them to start picturing me and what I'm actually like. It's long enough that they don't just see an essay and skip over it and don't read it at all. The mention of the family is always good. That's a green flag. The party nightlife scene thing, like, I feel like most will actually agree with that, unless they like just turned drinking age. And the mention of outdoors is always, that's good, that I'm not some hermit inside the house all day. But the most important aspect here is that there's no red flags or really anything to turn them away. Of course, unless she doesn't like dash-ins, and I would just assume that she's a monster and I don't want anything to do with her. So you can either tweak that example or use it as a framework to create something that's just more unique to you. And one good thing is, like, once it's done, you don't ever have to touch it again. while like your pictures are always something that you should at least try to keep improving upon. And one last thing, don't feel obligated to put some humor in there. It actually often ends up coming across kind of try hard and a bit forced, and you don't really need it. However, there was just like one time where it did kind of help me a long time ago. I think it was like 2010. It was on Plenty of Fish. A video just came out that was going viral. It was the guy getting really excited about a double rainbow. If you happen to see that back in the day, and some woman, I put it in my bio. She messaged me, she telling me how much she loves that video, and talking, and then we ended up meeting up that night, and she was just constantly talking about double rainbows, and it was a very weird experience. Even went back to her place, but nothing really came of it. She was like obsessed. It was like a fever dream almost. But anyways, that typically won't happen, so you don't really feel like you need to have anything funny. But anyways, if you guys need any help, I offer coaching and all that. Reasonably inexpensive. I know a lot of guys charge so freaking much. I'll put info in the description. There's also a Tinder Bio subreddit that you could potentially, if you want some advice. It is, I haven't really looked at the quality of the replies, so maybe I should do that. You know, it could be the blind leading the blind, but it's probably at least a decent option, you know, getting at least some feedback in case, you know, something is glaringly wrong. But otherwise, that is it. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.